The opinions expressed in this video belonging to the participants and do not represent the views held by PPS Holdings Trust, its subsidiaries, and affiliates. PPS is a licensed insurer conducting life insurance business, a licensed controlling company, and an authorized financial services provider. The information shared in this video does not constitute financial, legal, tax, or insurance advice. Viewers are encouraged to consult with a qualified financial advisor or insurance professional before making any decisions.
Hi, I'm Sipe, and if I wasn't doing my day-to-day job, between a few things actually, but I'll cut it to two. Either a music teacher, now that I have a better understanding of music, like a much more broader portfolio, I think I can give it another shot. If not that, I would actually consider baking.
Okay.
For the therapeutic part of it and the eating part of it. What would you do, Tsepo?
Tsepo, I'm a creative at heart. So if I wasn't in the space that I'm in now, I would be designing. Yeah, I would be designing either anything from graphic design to any form of design, I think. Yeah, that's me, passion.
Too creative.
Howdy, the name's Ernest, and yeah, if I wasn't doing my normal daily job, well, it's anything to be inspiring, to be honest, to the younger folk out there, just being an inspiration. That's what it comes down to.
Nice.
Yeah, Wesley here. I think if I wasn't doing what I'm doing here, I'd be a coach, soccer coach, sports coach, something like that. I'm passionate with when it comes to sports. Yeah. And then you, Theo?
Theo here. If I didn't have to work and I could just pursue my passion, it's difficult because I actually quite like my job. I would probably want to DJ at like festivals and big parties as a day or like as a night job, I guess. And as a day job, I would also like to be a sports analyst, maybe do some statistics work for like a major sports team and do some analysis on efficiency of players. That's probably what I will do.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm picking up here is that we're almost pretty similar. We can actually open an organization outside of this, if you think about it, because we have community, we have a bit of community, still community, creatives. We have you inspiring with inspiration. We have you with DJing and everything else. And then we have you as a coach. Imagine that.
I see CP's already into the topic of side hustle.
Trying to hustle, yeah.
And you know, we know that in this day and age, having just one job doesn't feel like enough, you know? And so that's where the side hustle comes in. So, you know, the question I've got for you guys is, what exactly is it and why is it even important?
Yeah.
Question is, why is it important?
What is it and why is it important?
The side hustle.
Yeah.
Interesting question.
Yeah, no. I think we all agree that the cost of living is high. And that goes without saying. So when you're saying that like a salary or a job is not enough, sorry, Americans, but we're getting into that American economy where you have to have multiple jobs to survive. During the day, it's your 9 to 5, you literally do your job, you show up, you get paid, and then in the evenings, you have to do your, log onto your computer and do it. The reason why it's important, it's because, as you said, it is not enough. And not because either, correct me if I'm wrong, that people are reckless with their money. It's just that income is not enough. And you cannot push your employer to pay you more.
Unless you do more.
No. Yeah, even when you do more. The increase will never equate at times or most of the time to, meeting you there. And you'll have expenses, you'll have hobbies, you'll have things that you'll need to supplement with the money. And your income should never go to the nice things. I think that side hustle also gives a cushion to say that even if I spend an extra 1,000 rand on sneakers, it's something that I can work for. If I need sneakers, I know if I do 2-3 hours in my side hustle, I'll definitely get a pair of sneakers. So it's always just about getting more to be able to afford that. Those things.
And with that being said, if you come down to that, like the gist of a side hustle is at the end of the day, it's just diversifying your income stream.
Yes.
Not being that reliant on my 9 to 5. In the previous episode, we spoke about what would happen. So it is essentially just making provision and enhancing your diversity when it comes to your income stream. Making sure that you're not 100% dependent on one flow of cash. And with that being said, times are getting tougher. Times is getting tougher year upon year. And it just, but one thing one should still be mindful of when thinking about side hustles is what's the impact on my primary job? Because both can't be primary.
Right.
You have your primary, you have your secondary at the end of the day. And once your secondary starts overshadowing your primary, then it starts becoming a problem. You need to start reprioritizing, you need to see what can I actually do on my side. You can't always say yes, but the one thing that you can definitely do is prioritize accordingly.
Fact.
I think that ties in a lot to how I feel about side hustles. I'm more of a keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
Focus on your job, do the most that you can, and excel at it. Because if you, like we said, like I mentioned earlier, my dad had this saying of the small taps.
Yeah.
Like if you constantly improve and get better every day, you're probably going to get paid more, or another company's going to poach you, or something's going to sort you. So it's more of a philosophy type of thing. I believe you should focus on your main job and use your spare time for hobbies. But maybe that's just because I'm sort of comfortable and happy with the salary I earn. If you need more money, I understand why you would do side hustles to enhance your cash. But the first question was about our passion. So wouldn't you rather want to do your passion? So work on a job that you love, and if you can't do that, at least have a side hustle that you love.
You've just drew me in because you touched on two things. Number one, I want to have your job because you seem to be fine with it. Okay, start there. Number two, you've just touched on passion. And my view on side hustles, while I appreciate the outlook on the economy and trying to meet things halfway, I'm more on using them as a way to feel alive again. Not all of us do jobs that we're very passionate about, that we feel pour into us so much. So finding a side hustle that's actually your passion, where you can find a way for your brain to work in a way that you can actually see results and you can feel the pressure going off. When I spoke about baking, I think of the kitchen as a way to release and create. So imagine if we started looking at them in those two ways. Yes, as a second stream of income, but as a way for you to feel alive again, a commitment that you have chosen for yourself to say, I'm not only growing in this, I'm getting better at this, and I'm actually removing, or there's a symbiotic cycle to this that actually works for me on top of what I have to do during the day. Because to be honest, not all of us are quite fortunate to have jobs that we are passionate about. Theo, you're an exception here.
So when you think about that, right, and how a lot of us, I think a lot of young people attach their titles to their personality, or their work to their personalities. Would you say that, you know, as you guys were touching on passion and purpose, would you say that a side hustle is something that allows you to break away from that? Do you guys have a view on that?
Look, we did cover this earlier, like in the prompt before, but I just wanted to add on to it as well in regards, which is actually very important that I didn't make mention to, is conflict of interest. We need to always ensure that there is no conflict of interest in whatever we are doing. And apart from like diversifying your income, times are getting tougher. Some people actually use their side hustle and they start building on that side hustle to make that their primary income one day as well. So there's it isn't just one dimensional. That's what I'm trying to say. There's different factors involved in whether or not a side hustle is for you or not, you know?
Yeah. For me, like going back to the first question that you asked, I think side hustles are supposed to be accelerators of income. But now, sometimes, you know, this accelerator becomes, like you are saying right now, it overshadows, you know, the main income.
Yeah.
And then somehow it eats away from the income, because I've seen people taking from their income, instead of going the saving option, they actually start to fund their own, which is self-funding, understand? But now the biggest issue is that what happens when they grow? Now they are no longer accelerators now. Now they are the main thing. So I think, with mentioning the whole thing of conflict of interest, that's when it poses a lot of question to say that does it conflict with the main job that you are doing, you understand? And you don't want to find yourself now having to leave one and focusing on the other. But I feel like, yes, the side hustles are a need, especially in this economy. And on top of that, you just need to make sure that at least, you are using them to supplement each other more than just, them opposing each other. Yeah.
And then how exactly do you do? Because what you basically have is you have to commit to two things. I mean, Theo, you said that you have to keep the primary thing the primary
Primary
thing.
thing.
But you're still committing yourself to two things. So how do you actually deal with the potential burnout that comes with that?
That's a great question,
Very good
because
question.
I think once you started mentioning conflict of interest, the term conflict of interest comes from the conflict, right? In terms of interest, where do you pull yourself?
Yes.
You conflicted to say, do I dedicate more time to that or
Yes.
that? So, in essence, we are human beings. You want to do a lot of things. Love that you love your job. That's what everybody should sort of like. What do they say
Strive
again in terms of do the thing that you love and you never have to work a day in your life?
Yes.
So that's what we should all strive for, because at the end of the day, you're building a career. Side hustles again, supplement. But going back to your question in terms of conflict, most people get it wrong to think that, especially with your employer, when you go tell your employer that I'm doing something else, it's labeled as a conflict of interest. At the end of the day, it's interest. What else are you doing
Yes.
that's taking away your time from your employer? Because they pay you to deliver, not just from 9 to 5. Oftentimes you think that 9 to 5 is my job. Once I leave, you're gone. They expect you to go rest. They expect you to go eat. They expect you to still have a life and then still come back and still, bring your brain fresh, because brain fog is a thing. Overworking yourself and fatigue is a thing. So
Yes.
when it comes to conflict, declare what it is that you're doing so that they are well aware, and then they will actually advise if this is actually a conflict. Because at times you don't think it's a conflict. You're like, but guys, I do feeding scheme, at a certain house, or often just declare that is something. It's taking time away from, even if it's to an NGO, it's something that you're doing, and it can also be nice and looked at as nice. But does it take away from the energy that you'd
Yeah.
have to then bring back again on the next day into your 9 to
Yeah,
5?
I think it's important to remember that whenever you're employed somewhere, you signed a contract.
Yeah.
Like you committed your time and your energy and your skills to this company, and they are remunerating you for that. If you don't feel like you are properly remunerated, you need to take it up with them. Like that's your responsibility. I think where a side hustle does have a very good place is when it's a hobby, and then all of a sudden that hobby makes you money.
Right.
Like that's probably the best balance, because then it's generally not having that conflict of interest with your main job. Like for example, I know about a guy that when COVID happened, he started like just gaming and streaming, and now he's making more money than he did in his finance job. So he quit that, and now he's a full-time streamer on Twitch. So that's the things that can happen. Like it's his hobby, he's always done it, and then decided, okay, let me just film myself while I'm gaming. And people love his personality, and it worked out for him. So I think that's the ideal in my mind. This is my opinion. You guys can debate me on it and convince me. But I feel like try and love your job, and if you don't, make a plan to find something that you love.
And the thing is also in regards to, because the prompt also mentioned to, like, how do you balance the two, to be honest, and that you can't even think about having any additional job if you're not thinking ahead, if you're not planning it in advance, you're not prioritizing properly, because then there's already a gap. You're going to enhance that gap by adding more things to it, adding. So once you are in that step, in that position where another opportunity does come, make sure that it does align to what you want to achieve. Make sure that, okay, great, I do have some time for it, and I am going to prioritize accordingly. And once it does get a little bit too much, like rather just step away then from one of them, because then it just becomes so detrimental to yourself, to the people that you are assisting, and the people that they are assisting at the end of the day. So yeah, those are just a few pointers.
And so how do you actually, now if you own, let's say you're a doctor, for example, and you own a practice, how do you protect yourself and protect the business that you have? If someone comes to you and they say, "Oh, you know what, man, you cut off the wrong leg," you know, just as not a silly example, but it's an example. What can actually, what is there a form of indemnity that can be taken to protect yourself from that?
I heard somewhere before that lawyers have lawyers, and those lawyers have lawyers. And there's such a thing where you have a backup to say that should anything happen as a result of the practice, your main thing that you're doing. Still speaking about keeping the main thing. So if your main thing is really your main thing, then you go above and beyond to make sure that it's sorted out and it's covered. Should anything happen as a result of that, you have your lawyers to say, "Oh no, we already thought about this. We can actually do something about that leg," you know. So it's always good to think about the fact that there's insurance that covers all the way up to your whole firm.
100%.
And-
Like, look, indemnity is key. I heard a story the other day of a guy that went for a vasectomy and he got circumcised instead. So
Wrong clinic.
not a happy wake up.
Wrong clinic.
Not a happy wake up.
Not what I asked for.
Yeah. But the doctor then takes out, I think you call it health professional indemnity.
Yes.
And the doctor then pays and covers for the mistake, or the insurance company pays for the doctor's mistake. So there's definitely a type of cover that you can get for that, and get some compensation. Look, there's no backseas on something like that, unfortunately, but it's something to know, you know. So I think when you're a professional, make sure you have cover like that, because you can make mistakes. I know, like, even something as simple as like putting an extra zero on a spreadsheet, that could cause financial losses. That's also covered by indemnity type products.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to consider.
True. And just speaking of like the cover that you're speaking of in terms of indemnity, you must also realize that there probably might not be a limit in your head of how far the loss can be. Because the example you made, chopping off the wrong leg, that impacts somebody's life completely.
Yeah.
So that could go into millions and millions in terms of what you'd have to pay, because you've altered somebody's life totally.
Yes.
And what that means is that then that person has a right to say that this was my future, this is what I saw. And you then took that away from me. Because at that point, when that happens, that's what you're thinking, right? Because you don't have a solution. You're not like, I'm going to get over this. I'm like, hey, I said this was the one that had gangrene, that had what? You cut the one that was fine. So then that has legal fees. It has got so many implications. So as a professional, how great would it be to say that in moments where I'm also human, I make a mistake, as you said, at least I've got something that is going to protect me in that, and you'll still be able to, husa. Imagine if you didn't have that cover.
Correct, 100%. It just comes back to self-reflection also, knowing that we're not perfect human beings. Something is going to happen.
Exactly.
I've also heard about a story not too long ago about a doctor actually that had done a spine operation on somebody, and the drill failed. So he wasn't being negligent in any sort of way. They do their regular checks. It's something way beyond your control. So it doesn't only come to like mistakes that happens. It comes down to Murphy's Law also. That's what it comes down to as well, and ensuring that you do have the proper indemnity to ensure that you are covered in the event, because the patient actually ended up paralyzed, I believe it is.
Sure.
So that's a heavy knock towards his practice, towards his pocket, towards so many additional things. So at least ensure that court case that's coming your way is covered as one less things you need to worry about.
I think one thing to remember is, like, especially if you're a professional.
Yeah.
When you're a professional, the standard that's upon you is higher than the general population.
Yes.
People trust you because you're a professional.
Yes.
So it's your professional responsibility to also ensure you have cover like indemnity cover, you have checks and balances on your whole process, your whole business, because you're not only acting as yourself, you're acting on behalf of your whole profession.
Yes.
And it's a higher ethical code almost that applies to you.
100%.
Yeah.
And now that you're talking about it, so we don't see the other implications to it. We're talking money, huge amounts. Well, sometimes you can go for imprisonment
Yeah.
if you can't pay that amount.
Yeah.
So imagine now you're a doctor, you have your own practice, and you have to report to the other job, which is your primary job as well. Now you don't have that 50 million that they are suing you, the lawsuit. You're gonna be imprisoned, and now not only are you gonna be imprisoned, what's gonna happen again? You're gonna be out of a job again. You understand? So now imagine if you have that indemnity. You understand? It pays for that and it relieves you so that you can also take care of other things. Because we're still talking about the side hustles. The primary one could be the one who's actually that's actually prohibiting you from what? Performing the first one.
Yeah.
And before we move on, I want to jump on that to say that it might sound like we're very negative in terms of how we're thinking, what's the worst that could happen. But in essence, it gives you peace of mind.
It really
Yeah.
is.
That's exactly
That's
what
the goal.
it just
You
gives you
understand?
peace
You
of
don't
mind.
want to do your side hustle in prison.
Tell me,
You can't do it
You
in
won't
prison,
even be able
right?
to
There's
Yeah.
no side hustles in prison.
Exactly that. You're paying for
Now,
peace of
now
mind.
when you think about that, you know, you guys used a lot of examples that actually showed a sense of attention being split, you know, because these mistakes can also happen because you're stretching yourself. How do you guys think you can navigate the attention split? How do you think you manage that exactly?
comes back to work-life balance.
Well, now it's work balance.
Work balance.
It's primary and
Yeah,
secondary.
no.
How do you deal with that attention split?
I mean, I don't think there's a specific formula. I don't think there's a perfect way to put it. But how I would view it is it's an intention and balance exercise. At some point, let's go back to gym.
Nice.
Back to gym. Gym, you still have your normal day-to-day hours that you have to do at work, but you have to put aside for yourself. So you say, out of my whole day, I will need to put in an hour. Looking at how much time how much I need to stretch myself today. Then I can give myself an hour of gym. And you do that consistently enough, everything around you starts moving to accommodate this. And things stop becoming like, I know I have to do it. It starts becoming natural. I think with everything else that you can add on to your normal day-to-day life, it's a balance of intention and it's a practice of intention and balance. You have to see how much of this is needed here and how much of yourself. And sometimes we can overstretch ourselves. But in essence, you know that this is how much I can give myself here. And you can just work on that. If it's 30 minutes, give yourself 30 minutes to do that and see how that works. Give yourself a bit of time to check if that works too. 30 minutes today, an hour tomorrow, you won't know if you're thinking of results. But again, it's a practice of balance and intention.
Okay, intentionality is key here. I think it's prioritization and admitting to the fact that time is sort of money. Not in the way that it is physically money, but you spend it.
Yeah.
You spend your time and you decide how you spend your time.
And you can't get it back.
And I think honestly, it's difficult. Like it's a prioritization thing. What do I care about? Do I want to spend time with family? Do I want to go to the gym? There are things you have to do and you're committed for a certain amount of hours. I think the best way to not burn out and to not have that stretching too far is to really prioritize and just think of, how do I split my day up?
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
How am I going to do it? And what's important to me? And
Yeah.
don't waste time. And build in time to chill. I think that's like the biggest
Time
thing.
to chill is very
You got to make sure you chill and sleep and do the things that are important for your body and for your mental health.
And ask yourself also, what's the nature of the job also? Is it like a structured job? Is it a flexible job? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to have two structural jobs that you need to tend to at specific times in the day, it's going to become so difficult for you actually just to keep your head above the surface of the water. Because now you have two structural jobs, you have a family, you want to go for a run, and you only have 24 hours.
Yeah.
You literally only have 24 hours. So, fine, be a yes man. But also, if things hit the fan, be able to take accountability for it also and know your limitations.
When I say that word, accountability, spot on.
But do we really have 24 hours?
Eh? No, not even. Look,
What do you
24 hours, after 24 hours, you're going to go sleep for 8 hours. You're going to cook for another an hour. You're going to be in traffic for another 2 hours. So if you cut it down, it is actually not 24 hours, like you
To be a
said.
man is too good to make sacrifices. So you just think, okay, maybe not this today.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 minutes here, and then maybe 10 minutes here. But we can fit it all together. You just need to find a way of how to put it all in there.
Oh, brilliant. I love how you talk about planning.
Yeah.
There are people that are terrible at planning.
Yeah.
by the way. And it's not that it's probably a skill it's definitely a skill that
It
you
is.
can learn.
It is.
But if it's not something that you have in your arsenal of skills,
Yeah.
and let's say you're working from home, as you said, you've got a contract, it's a 9 to 5. The day that you're working from home, you're like, man, I'm not on Teams. Let me quickly do the side hustle and do other things. You're stealing time from your employer
Correct.
at the end of the day.
100%.
So there's also integrity that goes with it, which goes back to the conflict of interest. So I'm just trying to tie all these things back
Together.
Good one.
in terms of planning. When you're thinking,
Mm.
and if you don't have that planning mentality, just know the barriers or the lines that you're crossing, so that when you end up getting into a side hustle, chasing money, it ends up, or you don't end up in a position where you lose your primary source of income, you know,
Yeah.
and then you,
What I found super useful, I did this once, is I only did it for like 3 weeks just to see what am I actually doing in a day, right? So I had this app that tracked, like you can turn a timer on and off when you're busy with what, and then afterwards you just fill in, I ate in this period, or I worked on this project, or I did that. And it was interesting to see the split and how my focus went and what I actually spend the most time on.
Good idea.
So I recommend doing that for a week. Just test it out,
Actually,
and then you know, because I think we all have estimation risk. Like we all think I'm going to gym for an hour, but you're actually there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You're driving, then you're drinking your protein shake, whatever.
Yeah.
So having you don't necessarily have to do this, but just have sort of an idea of how long things actually take, and then you can just block. You can just say, I'm going to work for 2 hours straight because I know I can focus for 2 hours, or I can only do it for 20 minutes. Do it for 20 minutes, get up, stand up. That's how like the top people in the world plan their days. They have blocks of times to do things. Like some people block out 2 hours because they're going to meet with a manager or meet with clients. Other people are like 2 hours of focus time. That's why a lot of the apps have focus time built in there.
Yes.
Because blocking is the actual way that we should approach our day. Because if you go down to the nitty gritty stuff, it's going to be overwhelming and you're going to stop after 2 days.
And that's the
So
thing.
when you so guys, when you think about making your side hustle your main hustle, so you go from primary to secondary to making the secondary primary, what do you think the biggest challenge is for doing that? What do you think is like the biggest roadblock to making the secondary thing the main thing?
I'll tell you the first one. My side hustle won't give me the monthly amount, fixed amount, first on, like right in the beginning. That's got to be the biggest challenge, the biggest imagination and perspective for everyone. That now I've been getting 30K a month every day on a certain day. Now having to do things where I look at my own profits and I actually pay myself, it doesn't look the same. That might seem discouraging, but it's how you turn it around. And you might actually be getting more than you were getting from your main.
And yeah, so that on my side, if I have to think of that transition itself, right? You build it up, 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 right? It's various different factors that you'll need to take into account when making that decision. But at the end, that conscious decision that you're going to make in regards to telling your primary, look, I'm done. I think that would be the biggest hurdle for a lot of people, to be honest. Because that's your primary source of income. Most of the time, your side hustle, that would be a fluctuating income. It'll be booming one month, it'll be a bit quieter the next. You don't know what's going to happen on the next day. So literally saying goodbye, stability. I'm here for spontaneousness now. I think that would be one of the biggest factors one needs to take into account.
Yeah, the leap of faith.
Yeah.
Because I look at the balance of it, to say that maybe the main job would be just, addressing the intellectual aspect of my life. And then maybe the side hustle will be more, because we're speaking about our passions here, And I would imagine someone trying to come up with a passion-based side hustle. Because if you're a doctor, it's not really a side hustle if you are having your other practice. You are still within your space, you understand? But imagine now you're a doctor and now you're like, spare time, I love playing golf. Maybe let me not just play golf. Maybe let me pursue it professionally as well. Something that is a side hustle, but now it's passion-driven. So it's not eating away from anything from you, you understand? So maybe the transition would be me saying, okay, now I'm easing off what feeds me through this, and now I'm going into what feeds me through this, the heart, you know.
Yeah.
So the balance could be around that to say, okay, maybe this main one, I must just, especially when if you are to maybe consider, you know, things like growth. You know, the more you grow, the more you want to ease off things as well. You know? So the balance could be just easing off to a more passion-based one, you know, more than just an intellectually one as well.
And a perfect example was what Theo made in terms of when your hobby becomes
Yeah.
your side hustle, and then
Yes.
becomes, so the transition is seamless because now you're making more money off of it. So
Yes.
let's all be honest. Once COVID hit,
Yeah.
there's a meme that I saw that said that I wish I had taken time to dance for a 30-second video, you know,
Yes.
and do all these trends. And that's probably, I would have ridden the wave of being a content creator.
Yeah.
So
Or
most
even a
peop-
dancer, professional
yeah,
dancer.
like the
Yeah.
people that rode that wave have created an industry, and
Yes.
it's no longer seen as a side hustle.
Yeah.
It's actually contributing to,
Profession.
it's a profession
It's a
now.
profession.
So the transition then comes with that example to say that if it's a passion, and at times the passion comes from you doing it because you don't know at that point, you're gaming, you love it, or you're just taking videos, and next thing you know, people love your content, and you're like, okay, I'm done with this content. And I'm done with this primary one. I'm going to go straight for the focus. And also, you have to have that risk.
Yes.
Like it's not like if it doesn't make it yet, the energy you put into something
Yes.
will then give you the results. So, if you want to jump. If you love your job, still love your job
love
and
your
do
job
that.
and
And you
still
can
do it.
still have hobbies. And what a great place to be. And I love the word that you use, and I always go back to this because you use it as a great word, privilege. If you're
Yes.
privileged to be in that situation where things are
Yes.
working out, embrace it.
I mean-
And and you also do understand, you have that lens that it's not the same for everyone else.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the transition is that.
All right, Oaks. So, last question. Do you guys really, really think you covered everything?
Yeah,
I think we covered everything.
I think we covered it.
We covered
we
it.
covered everything.
We did.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.